Hi there, Stampers. It's Linda Schmidt with Stampin' with the Hounds. We are trying take 2 of this video. I apologize for the ones I had uploaded it and the audio was not, was super muted, so I don't know what happened. But anyway, we're going to try this again. This is part of my Fun Fold series. I'm focusing on what is called a waterfall fold, which has been around for a long time. But I had a request from one of my stamping friends to do a refresher on it, which was good because I haven't made one in, oh my gosh, probably 20 some years. So it was kind of good for to get out the old the technique and redo it. So, but this is one where you just kind of flip through each of these little panels, and then it has that little tag at the bottom. So it's kind of a fun little card. It's another great way of using up your designer series paper. And then this one, I just do it as a card front. If you wanted to put another quarter sheet of cardstock on here to do more of a greeting, you can certainly do that. Otherwise, you can attach that onto, you know, a full card. It just does give it a little bit of weight and some bulk. So you just want to be careful there with your layers with it. But this is one where I had decorated the inside, and then I've got my waterfall on the front. So I have all my little images. This one is using that sophisticated sled, which is one of the online exclusives. And then I've got the dies from One of a Kind, which is a bundle that was in the 2024 Stampin' Up! Mini catalog. And then again, there's some more of that sophisticated sled. And then the paper is all of the Take a Bow, which is in the mini catalog as well. So kind of fun. And I will say on this one, because I put these little rhinestones on, it catches on the brace a little bit. So make sure when you're decorating your panels that you don't put a lot of dimension on there, or stuff that's popped up, or like gems, because they do get caught in that, on that brace. And I did kind of pop it up a little bit on dimensionals to help a little bit, but I think I probably should have done 2 layers of dimensionals just to kind of give it a little bit more clearance. But that's one of them. We're going to do a version of this one today. And then this is the one that I made in the video. I think it was yesterday or the other day. I think this is the one I made. Yeah. So again, this is using that Take a Bow, and then it's got the One of a Kind. And here we just flip through. And I do like to kind of decorate the other side of the waterfall flaps, just because you've got scrap paper, you might as well use it up. And then there's that. And then again, I'll probably put a quarter sheet of cardstock on there. I mean, you do have a little bit of room here to write if you want, but if you like to do a lot of, you know, writing on your cards, then I would say use your back sheet. Do a quarter sheet of cardstock for that. So we are going to get started. So what you're going to need, and we're just going to do the card front version of it today. So I'm using real red cardstock. This is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. If you want to do a full-size card, you can certainly do that. You can cut it either, you know, the long way, so 4 1/4 by 11, fold it in half, or you could do it the opposite way, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and score at 4 1/4. Either way. And then your designer series paper is going to be a 1/4 inch smaller, so this is 4 by 5 1/4. And again, I'm using that Take a Bow. It's 6 by 6 paper, and you get like 48 sheets, so it's a really good deal. And then for the brace, I like to keep mine to be the same width as my designer series paper, but if you want to go to the full width of the card, you can certainly do that. Mine is just going to be 1 by 4 for my cardstock, and then my brace is just 3/4 of an inch by 4 on that, because I wanted to keep it as the same width as my brace. So for that. And then you will need, for your mechanism that makes the waterfall portion of it, that is going to be 2 1/2 by 8 1/2, and we'll go over the scoring. And then you will need, for your flaps, you will need 4 squares, and these are going to be the same width as whatever your waterfall mechanism. So this was 2 1/2. So my squares, I've got 4 of them. These are all going to be 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. Okay. And I kept them all the same colors. You can, like I did on some of my other samples, you can do different colors of your squares. It doesn't really matter. So, but I'm going to do green, all green on mine, because I was going to do my stamping. Instead of doing the die cuts, I was going to do my stamping. So my squares are 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And I've already got all of these stamped and ready to go. So these are all done on white. So I got all that just to save on time. And then these are optional, but again, I like to kind of decorate that other flap on the waterfall the waterfall mechanism. So these are going to be, and I've got 3 pieces, and these are going to be 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. And that's just optional. But again, you've got scraps, you might as well use them. All right, so we're going to get started with just the scoring, and I'm going to show you how I made my little tag on my waterfall mechanism too. Because what you're going to be doing, so I kind of made my little template here. So this is going to be, again, this is at 2 1/2 by 8 1/2. And then you're going to be scoring. You'll do a scoring at 2 1/2. So this is the size of your square. So that's that 2 1/2 inch square. This is what becomes this bottom piece here. Okay. So whatever, that's what you need to make sure when you're looking at your other images, that this has to be that 2 1/2. So if you adjust this size to be like 2 inches, then start your 1/2 inch increments after that 2 inch mark. So I'm at 2 1/2, so a 1/2 inch after 2 1/2 is 3, and then I do 3 1/2, and then I do 4. So you're going to always have those 4 score lines, but depending on how wide, how big you're making this bottom square, that will determine your other score marks, if that makes sense. So once you have all those scored, this is the part that is going to be becoming that top part, that's doing all the movement. So you would just fold that in half. And then this longer section, I'm going to die cut to make a tag so that my bottom part here, it looks like a tag. That's just optional. If you want to leave it straight and then just punch a hole and put your ribbon in, you can totally do that. So we're going to go ahead and do our scoring and the die cutting. Let's do our scoring first. So again, my first score line is going to be at that 2 1/2, and then it's every 1/2 inch after that. So then it's 3, 3 1/2, and then 4. The white's kind of hard to see, but you should see those 3 score lines in there. Okay, now this part here, where those score lines are, that's that part that's going to fold over and make our mechanism. So on this longer section, I want to die cut, this is my tag, the bottom part of the card. So we're going to do that right now. And my tag dies, they were not wide enough. And so I'm taking from the Nested Essentials dies, I'm taking this smaller one, and what I'm going to do is I will just bring this, I gotta make sure I'm die cutting the right way, because we want the stitching on the top. So yeah, I'm going to kind of just slide this in like so that my point is like right on the edge of my cardstock, and then this will come down. So then when it die cuts, I'm going to have these pieces cut off. So we're going to run this through the die cutting machine. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here so I can fit this underneath the camera. And I'm just going to put a little bit of low tack tape just to hold this in place so it's not shifting on me. And then you don't need to run it all the way through. I just kind of run it until it gets to the die cut, and then I back it out. you're just cutting off that little section. All right, so now you have that little stitching and you've got your little tag. So that is it on the die cutting. Okay, then the next thing I want to do before I have it all assembled is to go ahead. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, sorry about that, I accidentally hit the wrong button when I meant to hit pause. We're going to make our little hole. And so this little piece is actually from the Merriest Trees. I don't know if I've got the die handy here. Do I? No, I don't have it handy. Oh yeah, here it is. So it's this piece right here. So this tag, but this tag was too big. But that's a little piece that I'm using. And so this just kind of folds in half and it just makes that little reinforcer. And so what I do is I just fold this in half and I'm just kind of putting it, you know, where that point is. And I've got it butt up against it. I just have to make sure I'm looking at this so that I can see that I'm centered. And then I just take a pencil and I'm just going to draw a little circle here so that I know where to take my 1/4 inch hole punch and punch my hole for my ribbon to go through. All right, and then this little piece can then just be taped. So again, you can kind of make your own. I mean, this is, what is this? It's like an 1 1/8 long and about 1/2 inch wide, and then just punch 2 holes, you know, on either side. I mean, that's, you know, another way of doing it if you don't have that die. But this die, it does a little bit of stitching around it. So now we've got our little tags. Remember, this is coming down, it's folding, folding. So you've got kind of just that little part showing. And then we're going to take our ribbon. We'll just do like a little bookmark tassel. So I just fold my ribbon in half. And I put the loop through. And then push the tails through the loop. And then gently pull. To get that bookmark tassel. Okay, and we can go ahead. These are a little bit longer than what I need, so we can just trim those. Okay, so now this is basically going to be the bottom part of our card. So we're going to set this aside for now. Let's go ahead and assemble everything else. So we're going to have our 1/4 sheet onto the 1/4 sheet of cardstock. Yeah, I'm trying to, oh my gosh, the holidays are catching up with me, and I took today off from work, but didn't get as much stuff done as I wanted to. There's never enough hours in the day. Oh, goodness. Okay. And then our brace. So this was my 1x4? Yeah, 1x4. I'm going to go ahead and attach my designer series paper, which was 3/4 inch by 4. Just so that that's layered. And then usually you go about, you know, 1 inch, 1.25 inches, you know, somewhere around there, you know, up when you go to position it. And you can either put tear and tape right here, or you can do dimensionals. And I'm going to be doing dimensionals just because I like to have a little bit more height on that brace so that my waterfall mechanism piece doesn't get caught on anything. So we'll just, for now, I'm just going to go ahead and put a few dimensions. I'm going to put 2 dimensionals on each end. And then we'll set that aside for now. And then let's go ahead and do all of our flaps, the waterfall flaps. So these were my 2.5-inch squares, and I did garden green. And then I did my layering squares were 2.25 by 2.25. And again, I already die cut, or not die cut, but I stamped and colored everything. I am using the online exclusive Sophisticated Sled stamp set for all my images. And then there are coordinating dies that go with it that have, like, you can make ice skates, and then you can do a sled. And then it die cuts like the wreath and everything else. So it's kind of a fun set, but that's online exclusives only. So make sure you always check those out on my website, just because they always do, they refresh what they add online quite a bit, which is kind of fun. Always like to see new stuff. So we're just going to go ahead and layer each one of these. Cute. And I did a little bit of a Winkastella just to give it a little bit of glimmer on there. And then I did die cut, but my bird is not, it's just flat. So just so it doesn't get caught. And then this one I did from the One of a Kind, which is in the mini catalog, the 2024 Stampin' Up! Mini catalog. So this one, it comes with the stamp set and then the die. So I did that little snowflake, and I did it with the, we've got a 3-pack of like, it's like red, 2 shades of green, glimmer paper that's in the holiday mini catalog. So that's what I did for that. And then I did do a Snowflake Sky, the embossing folder, on my white, just to kind of give it a little bit of oomph on that. So we'll go ahead and attach that. All right, and then this was again from that Sophisticated Sled, and I just used my Stampin' blends to color these. And then my last one, put these in order, will be this final one with the saying. So again, I stamped it, did my bird, and then I ran it through that snowflake embossing folder after I had everything stamped and colored. And there goes Ezra. She's upstairs playing above me. So if you hear it sounds like my ceiling is caving in. It's her playing upstairs. Okay, now we're going to go back to our waterfall mechanism. Okay, so again, what we had done was on that longer section, we folded this in half, okay? And we're going to add adhesive, because we're going to make mountain folds on each one of those little half-inch sections. And on each one of those half-inch sections, that's where you're putting your adhesive. And then your bottom square, the one that you want here, that is going to be full. All of this bottom square is going to be attached. That gets attached there. Okay. So we're going to, we've already did the one. So I just want to fold on all of my score lines. And again, these are all just going to be the mountain folds. Okay, so now we've got all mountain folds. All right, and then I like to use the tear tape just to make sure that it's going to hold while the flaps are moving. So I'm going to put adhesive on each one of those half-inch panels. And And then I'll just do regular, you know, like liquid glue or whatever adhesive you like for the bottom, for the square, the 2.5 inch square section. But on these flaps, I want the tear and tape. Okay, and then I like to work from the bottom and then go add my flaps. So my bottom one was this one. So that's gonna go completely covering up that bottom square. So you can just put adhesive all on this 2.5 inch section. And then just make sure you're up against that score line. Okay. Then you're going to remove your tear and tape. And then now your next square is going to go right up against that score line. And you want to make sure you're, you know, flush on both sides, and then tape that, adhere that down. Then remove the next section, and you're going to do your next square. So again, same thing, make sure this is, that edge is right up against that score line, and then your flush on the edges, and then the final one, and this is where I like to keep it folded then. Oops, my tag is coming on, or my ribbon's coming undone. There we go. All right, so again, this edge needs to be right up against that edge. And then just make sure you're centered. Okay, so now you've got all of your flaps on there. Now, remember, I like to decorate these flaps here, so I'm going to go ahead and do those now before I put my whole thing together. Let's see here. So we've got, I think I'll do that on that one, and then we'll do the green and then the red. Yeah, so we'll do the red with this one. Okay, so yeah. There's both sides. What do you want to do? Sometimes it's so hard to pick a side. All right, so we're going to do the candy cane on this top one. And this is optional, but I just figured, you know, you've got paper scraps. You might as well use them. And then let's do, yeah, we'll do that one. Last one, we'll do the polka dots. Where do I want the green? And we'll do the green. Okay, so now we have all of those decorated. Now we're going to go ahead and assemble everything. So I just need to, I got my brace with the dimensionals on the side. And then I just need to, just because this is lifting up, I want to glue my tag down here a little bit better. Just because it's catching. So I make sure this piece isn't lifting up. Okay. And then you will, because my last part, I do want to stamp, because once this gets assembled on here, you will have room. Let me get my other sample here, this one, because I did the white tag. You will have room on this one to stamp, but I sometimes I want to make sure. I'm just seeing how far down. Because I think when I first did this, I did stamp it afterwards, which I think I should be okay if it pulls down. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and assemble it. Because I hate to stamp it and then I'm like, ugh, it's not centered or something. So we're going to go ahead and assemble it, and then I can always stamp that part afterwards. Okay, so you're going to keep this, you know, the brace is going to go, the back, that long part has to be underneath the brace. So I just kind of eyeball it here because I want to make sure that one, my brace is straight, and two, that my mechanism is, you know, somewhat centered and aligned up. So I think that looks good. So I can go ahead, because you're not putting any adhesive on this at all, okay? No adhesive on this. You're just putting it on this little brace for, so we'll go ahead and take these off. Down. I'm just making sure. Oops. It's always so hard when I'm doing these videos. I'm always at a bad angle sometimes. Okay. That looks good. That should be fine. Okay, so now the brace is attached. Then the next thing, so you're making sure all of this looks centered. Now kind of hold on to the bottom part so that this isn't moving around, because now we want to put adhesive on this brace, and then this is what gets attached to the brace. Okay, so you want to make sure, this is where I put something there so it doesn't shift on me. And I'm just going to use tear and tape just because I don't want it, I want a strong adhesive. So we're just going to put two little strips there, and then we'll peel these off. And then because I shifted a little bit, I just want to, before I press down really hard, I just want to make sure I'm centered. Okay, so that looks good. So now I'll just go ahead and press. All right, and then the true test comes. Can we flip and go through each one? Yay! Okay, so now I've got it pulled all the way down. Now I want to go ahead and I want to stamp my my ice skate that I hadn't done that part. You could always, I suppose, like if you made like a little template, then you could kind of see like where you needed to stamp, you know, to do it. So, but we're going to go ahead, I'm just going to stamp these ice skates. And I'm going to, just real quick here, I need, just because I've got, you know, this is a cardstock and then this is like on my mat, I want to make sure I've got even dimension underneath there so that I don't get a little wonky. All right, and let's see here, we are going to just go ahead, and it just fits on here with these skates. All right, and then we will color those really quick. Oh, here it is. So I'm I'm just going to use the Stampin' blends, and I want to actually grab, because I didn't ink up, I'm just going to take my black Stampin' marker and fill in. I need to re-ink my black ink pad, obviously. There we go. All right, I'll have to do that after. Okay, we're gonna color our skates, and I'm just gonna use Smoky Slate for my blades, and this is the light. And then I'll just do a little bit on the shoelace part here. And then we'll go back with a little bit of the dark Smoky Slate just to add some depth and some shading. And then I like to use the Balmy Blue, the light, just to do a little bit of shading on that white. You could also use like one of the neutral colors, like an ivory, just to give it a little bit of shading to it. All right, and then I will do... Got to have a little bit of sparkle. We're just going to use a little bit of Wink of Stella on those blades just to give them some sparkle. And then I think my last thing I want to add, just before I don't forget, there's 3 little snowflakes in here. I just want to stamp these. And these we'll probably do, I might just do these in Pool Party because it's a light color. And then just to tie in, I think we'll do a little bit of green. I was going to do that Let It Snow that's in there too from this set. Though I don't want it to snow right now. Oh, I'm not ready for it. We had such a nice long, pretty warm fall. But man, this morning when we were walking Ezra, it was a little chilly. I can definitely tell that winter is around the corner. Okay. That, hopefully the audio worked this time around. Was I going to add anything else? I don't think so. Okay. Yeah. Actually, let's do a little bit more Wink of Stella here, just to give... Can never have enough sparkle. Okay. Yay! All right, so there is that waterfall fun fold using the sophisticated sled and your one-of-a-kind stamp set and bundle. So fun, fun, fun. And then the Take a Bow Designer Series paper. So again, I will put like a 1/4 sheet of like white cardstock on here for my sentiment and stuff. But otherwise, I mean, that is your, I mean, it's pretty flat and it's kind of, you know, it'll still go through. You won't need extra postage or anything, but it's a great fun fold to, you know, give somebody this holiday season, or even like even birthday cards with the, you know, you can do whatever you want with it and stuff. But anyway, thanks again for watching. If you make sure you subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. My next thing that I am going to be showing is the exploding, or what, it's like explosion boxes, but I've got different sizes. These are the smaller ones that kind of use an 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 sheet of cardstock. And then when you take the lids off, you know, the sides fold down and stuff, and you can do like little pockets, you know, to put little messages in there. And on here, these, you can put a gift card in the center, which is kind of fun. But yeah, so these are going to be my next little tutorial that I'll be showing. So that's, again, a little smaller one. And then the other one I have, which I probably will just do, I'll just send, I'll post the instructions, because the larger one, yeah, there's a lot of layers. And this one, because it took me like, oh my gosh, I think like 2 days to make this one. Because I went a little over the top with the decorating on it. But this one, when you take the lid off, and again, this is, I'm giving these as gifts. So, but you can do, it's got all the different multiple layers, and you can do like pictures in here. You know, you can do like pockets and put candy, you know, and stuff in them. So they're kind of a fun little box kind of card, paper craft work of art, you know, that I spend way too many hours decorating, but it's my therapy on it. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Have a great and creative day, and I will stamp again with you soon. Bye-bye.